The most common phrase that you're going to hear in the movies when you have like World War II movie, two soldiers are getting ready to run across the meadow and bullets are flying. Or you have like a bomb specialist getting ready to cut the red wire, and his profusely sweating assistant is there by him, and there is one thing that he says to him. Or if you watch Disney movies, like you have two Disney animal characters getting ready to cross the road. What is the sentence that every one of them say? I will see you on the other side. I remember that from Rango, I think. That was so cool when the turtle, I think, is trying to cross the road and tells to the lizard, I will see you on the other side, brother. And it's so cute because all of us have this idea of the other side. The other side is like a desired goal, a destination, a better place, freedom, and place of safety, place of refuge, place of fulfillment, place of dreams, hope, whatever it is. But there is, all of us in our life have this other side that we are kind of striving toward, where we will finally be free. Free from our demons, free from our addictions, free from our troubles, free from our unsolved issues, free from all of these things. We are going to that other side. And that is always something that is kind of ahead over there. And it ends up that the whole lifetime we spend trying to get to the other side. And there is nothing wrong with that. Quite the contrary. Every single day we should be pursuing this other side. Because bottom line is, all of us want to be free. All of us want to really wake up, breathe in, and just be relieved with the freedom of life. I mean, we live in the land of the free, right? And that sounds like super nice and peachy until you start adding adverbs. Like, we live in the land of the free. Now, if you add financially, does it still ring the same? How many people we have here who are financially free? Let's not raise hands. Or, let's say socially. We live in the land of the socially free, you know? You can say whatever you want, as long as everybody likes it. Yeah? Seriously. Or mentally free, or spiritually free. Like, it's very debatable what freedom is. I would like us in the next 3 weeks to talk about the topic of freedom and understanding of what freedom is, how to attain it, and then how to keep it. The biggest problem that we have very often is that we are not even aware that we are not free. We think that we are free, but yet burdened. We think that we can do whatever we want, but yet we keep following these preconditioned patterns in life that are everything but freedom. So today, I would like us to talk about the homemade chains. A trip to freedom starts with an acknowledgement that you are not free. How many of you think that you're free to do whatever you want, to go wherever you want to go, to say whatever you want to say? Either you're shy or you really don't feel free. We are not free, not externally. Like internally, we are not free, and that is what I would like us to talk about today. Because here's the thing. Especially in this country, I love this country just because of that. Because you can really do whatever you want to do. You know? There are no limits to what you want to you want to be offensive to the government, be offensive to the government. What's going to happen? You're going to have one side of the country demonizing you, the other side of the country is going to be cheering for you, depending on what part of the government you are bashing on. You know? Now you try go to my country and be loud in the square about how bad the government is. Doesn't take much for you to be packed up and you are gone on a vacation. Covered trip, accommodation, and bruises. Everything included. Most of the world is like that. This country is awesome because it gives us really the opportunity to act however we want to act. But nevertheless, we are not trapped by the external environment that we live in. We are trapped with the chains we made ourselves. We are trapped by these patterns of life. Patterns that are familiar to us. Shortcuts, traditions that we live with. Any idea what I'm talking about? I'll give you an example. How many times it happens to you, you sit in the car, and you get to where you're going, and you don't remember at all the drive. It happens so natural, right? Because it's so automated. You know where you're going, you drove there dozens of times, and you don't remember the traffic lights, you don't remember the cars, you don't remember any of that because you just allowed the autopilot to take over while your mind was on Bahamas or the next chore that you had to take care of or the hard conversation from last night or whatever it is. But we live a life very often on this autopilot. This autopilot is great, it saves us energy. But on the other hand, it's really bad because sometimes we can live a lifetime with making a wrong decision again and again and again just because it's familiar and because it's easier. Romans chapter 12, verse 2. Nope, not that one, previous one. Anyways, Romans chapter 12, verse 2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. God calls you not to be conformed to this world. Now, this is the idea that we always have. Do you know what is the idea that we always have? Oh, you know what? We have these worldly values, and then we have the Christian values. So, you should not follow the worldly values, but you should follow the Christian values. That's what God means. That's not what He means over here at all. The conforming to this world refers to something much deeper. This world is our home, technically. And we are formed by our family upbringing. How many single children do we have here? Single parent children. Good answer. Yeah. Everybody had a mom and a dad. I want to see if somebody's going to fall for this one. There's one with an immaculate conception. Okay. She's too young to know the joke. Do you get the joke? No? Okay, never mind. I'll explain later. It's not fun when you have to explain the joke. All of us have two parents, so nobody is a single parent child. But a lot of us ended up being abandoned by one of the parents. I grew up with both parents, but my dad was absent. I mean, he was there as a guy who would yell and spank on a random basis, and that's all I remember of my dad until I moved out of my home. And then in my adulthood, I actually created a relationship with him. But that created a familiar pattern for me, where I had, like through my lifetime, I would much easier bond to females. Just because of that. I have more female friends than I have male friends. And now I go back and look like, my dad screwed me up. That is just one of the things. But there are more things that he screwed me up in. And I look at him and I say, if he was just different, I would be different. That is a lie. You are who you are because today you choose who you are going to be. Yes, all of us are traumatized by some things that happened in our past. All of us are formed by our, again, family upbringing, it could be social upbringing, it could be church upbringing, religious upbringing that actually screws us up. But you still choose today to step out of that. Conforming to this world means allowing these familiar patterns to guide you in life. And then Paul says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Think differently about every single thing that you do in life that screws you up. And you know very well what screws you up. The older you are, the better you can recognize things that screw you up in your life. Or you have friends and family who are telling you, like, this is screwing you up. If you're not sure about yourself, what's going on. But the bottom line is, there are some major familiar patterns that we follow and that ruin us for a lifetime. And we end up being slaves by these homemade chains, and we are never happy and never fulfilled. So let's dig into that. That's what I would like us to talk about today. Let's go now, Pearl, we can go to that slide. The first pattern, people pleaser. Are you familiar with any people pleasers? Are you a people pleaser? All of us are occasionally a people pleaser. You know, there is always at least one situation that you can remember that you made a bad decision to make somebody else happy. Or even worse, that you lived a whole segment of your life in a very destructive way because you really figured that if they are not happy with me, I failed. You look at other people and you're asking yourself, am I good enough? A lot of us tend to do that. And it's really, really easy to do that. This is pretty much, sometimes we are raised like that. If you are an oldest child, you know that. Oldest child is always the one that's taking the blame for everything that the younger siblings do. I know, I am the oldest child. I remember, I had a spoiled sister. She was not spoiled, but for whatever reason, it was my fault. For so many things that she did, that I would so rejoice when she gets spanked. Like, yes, finally. But what happened to me was, I grew up with an idea that I really have to make sure that people like me. And I really have to make sure that if I'm surrounded with people who are not doing good, I really have to help them do better. And that pretty much created me who I am. And I don't regret that, because I feel that my calling in this world is to help people be better and live better, their lives better. But I know it stems from a very dysfunctional beginning. People pleasers are actually struggling with identity. They're actually struggling with who they really are. Now look at this, Galatians chapter 1, verse 10. If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. Now, how many times you try to please your family? And you go out of your way and you do things that are completely unacceptable to you, but you're doing so kids will be okay. So everything will be okay with mom and dad. So everything will just be fine. As long as they're happy, I'm happy. There's an old book by Martin Buber, I believe, titled, I Am Okay, You Are Okay. And he's going into this whole analysis that most of the world lives by the pattern, you're okay, I'm not okay. We are okay with being not okay as long as you are okay. It's kind of like that. Paul says you can't do that. You can't make people happy. He doesn't say that. He says you shouldn't try to make people happy. Especially, you shouldn't try to make people happy if it's going to hurt you. It's so interesting, like Proverbs, the verse in Proverbs, the fear of man lays a snare. We make so many decisions in life because we are concerned what are other people going to say. You know what I'm talking about, right? We make so many decisions in life in hopes that we're going to receive a praise. Peer pressure in teenage days. All of you remember that, right? How many stupid decisions you did because of your friends? All of us did it. But then we keep the pattern. We save this familiar pattern, and we keep repeating it in our adulthood. And we keep impeding ourselves with these chains. I know I really have to make sure that I can't right now because, kids are small. When they grow up a little bit, then I'm going to invest in myself. Then I'm going to go back to college. Or I really have to take care of my church. I can't take a day off. I don't have time for a vacation. Do you know who I'm quoting right now? Pastor Gordon. I kid you not, that was some years back, he was forced onto a vacation by the conference president. Conference president called him, "You didn't take a vacation in 4 years. We want you to leave right now." And he was actually arguing. Like, that he is way too busy. Granted, a lot of nice things happened for his sacrifice. Nevertheless, we had that argument so many times. Like, go, leave, come on, we don't need you here. But the truth is, if you are a people pleaser, you're going to screw yourself up, not for other people, but for what you want other people to think of you. So the solution is understand who you are before you start seeking approval. Understand that you are much more than who you think you are. And here's an example. Ephesians chapter 1, verse 5. I want you to think about this. He predestined us for adoption to sonship through Jesus Christ. Paul says that you are predestined for adoption as a son of God or a daughter, as a child of God. Let's go gender neutral. Do you hear me? You are a divine being. Do you understand that? Jesus said, "Don't you know that you are God's? Doesn't the scripture tell you that you are God's?" And then he explains, the ones who receive the word of God, they are called God's. You are a divine being. Do you dare saying that? Do you dare admitting that? That you are a child of God? How much value did God put in you? How much value did God put in you? $100? 100 heavenly dollars? How much did God bet on you? One Jesus. Thank you very much. Your value is immeasurable. You are offending God anytime you look at yourself as anything less than that. Anytime you look in the mirror and say bad things to you, you're offending God. And then here's the question. Why would you do that if that is your value? I want you today to understand your value, how much you're worth. And then ask yourself, why would I need to please anyone if I am a divine being? Why would I need to make anybody happy in this world if I am a child of God? That's not my job. My job is not to make other people happy. My job is to be happy. And they can take it or leave it. Let's go on. Second thing that we do all the time, and this is a bad one, playing it safe. How many of us play it safe? If you say, I can't, guess what? You're right. But then, if you say, I can, you are right as well. That's old Henry Ford's saying. But if you try, you might fail. You might get hurt. So let's not try at all. Or let's just try a little bit. Let's just keep it within the moderate. Let's just keep what I know for sure that I can achieve. And then we stay in this small world that we are closed in because we choose fear over courage. Next week, we're going to talk more about fear. But right now, one thing that we allow ourselves to do, familiar pattern of playing it safe, pretty much same thing, comes from our childhood, comes from our upbringing, comes from social upbringing a lot. What's happening in my country right now? So, my country is in uphill at the moment. There is a lot of people on the streets protesting the government corruption, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot. It's like hundreds of thousands of people in most major cities. Nevertheless, you have a group of people that they're not saying anything, but when you talk to them, and I have some friends that I talk to over there, you know what, I shouldn't be doing that, you know? It's like, let the young people do that, or I have responsibilities, or I can't risk my business, and so on. A lot of people are playing it safe because they think that if they step out and risk it, that they're going to get burned. And guess what? You're right. You are right. You might get burned if you risk it. But if you don't risk it, you're going to stay right where you are. In your chains, unhappy with your situation, wishing to be elsewhere, but you're not. You guys heard that story? You know that story with an elephant and a little steak, right? Anybody? Okay. Let's tell you the kid's story. So a circus, kids go to the circus, and there's like a huge elephant over there, and he has a chain to his leg, and the chain is attached to a little stake that is shoved into the ground. And the elephant would walk around, but he wouldn't ever, the moment he gets to the chain getting tight, he just stops. And now the kids are wondering, like, why does he not rip that stake out? The trainer says, well, ever since he was a baby, he was held with that chain. And that stake was strong enough when he was a baby to hold him in place. And at this point, he can rip that with ease, but he learned his limits. And he stays within his limits because he feels that is safe for him, that is as much as he can do. Another story, I don't know if it's true or not, about an eagle in a chicken coop. Have you heard that one? Seriously? You guys need to watch Dr. Seuss more. Same thing, like, again, the stories of an eagle chick ended up in a chicken coop, and he was raised by hens. And as he was growing, he was becoming bigger and bigger, and he was bigger than all of his mom and his aunts and his siblings and everybody else. And he was scary and intimidating to everybody. But anytime an eagle would circle around, he would run inside the coop with everybody else. Because he thought that he's going to be taken away, unaware that he is not a chicken. You guys are playing it safe because you think you're a chicken. Because it's super safe within a chicken coop that you built. Story of 10 talents in Bible. I believe you're familiar with it. When a rich man gives certain amount of money to every one of his brokers. And one of them gets 10, one of them gets 5, one of them gets 1. And the one that got 10, he's like, okay, I went, I traded, I bargained, I did all I could. here is double. And he's like, oh, that's awesome. The second one does the same. The one that got the least, he's like, you know what? I buried your money in the ground, so here's your money back. He didn't want to risk it, and he lost everything. He lost the reward, he lost the praise, and eventually he lost his job as well. Playing it safe in God's eyes is being a chicken in life. You have your kind of safe space, right? Your family, your job, your rhythm, your rituals, things that you do, the people that you connect with, and all of that creates a nice chicken coop. And then you realize that you feel tight. You realize that something is missing. You realize that you're happy. So let's put it this way. I'm happy with life. Oh yeah, I'm happy with life. I'm happish with life. Have you ever been happish with life? You know, where you feel that you could do so much more and be so much more, but let's not fix what's not broken. And then we play it safe. Jesus said, those are the wrong verses on the screen. I apologize. I think we're going to come to those verses later. Jesus said Paul wrote in Hebrews chapter 11:6. He says, without faith, it's impossible to please God. We played safe. And here's the thing. Do you believe that your God can do anything? Do you believe that your God can change your life for better beyond your dreams? Do you believe that He can do that this coming week? Nobody said yes. I didn't hear anybody. You believe that? Okay. So, why don't you step out the chicken coop? Go get that better job. Because why not? Go talk to that person that you like. Because why not? Go have that hard conversation with your family. Because you believe that God can do all of these things in your life to improve it. Prove it that you really believe that. By stepping outside the chicken coop and doing the uncomfortable. And doing the uncomfortable. And then life shifts. Then things change. Then you start tearing down those chains. It's always easier to do the familiar. It's always easier to resort to that quick fix. Just because, we'll talk tomorrow. Today is not a good time. Or, I'll just take these things one more time and I won't do it again, and so on. It's always easier. But have the guts to take the pain and trust God that He will turn that pain into praise. Otherwise, why living? Because it's safe, but it's boring. And it's sad. And you know that. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. Are you afraid? You shouldn't be. Are you anxious? Are you stressed out? You shouldn't be. Why? Because God did not give you that spirit. That spirit comes from the other side. The spirit of fear comes from the one who is causing fear. But if you know that this life is given to you as a present that you can enjoy in, then do that. Then do the best that you can with it. Step out of familiar and stop playing it safe and do what will really resonate with the excellence that you see in yourself. God is right out there waiting for you to step out. And then he does things. He really does some crazy things when you give him the opportunity. But as long as you're trying to stay within this little chicken coop that you built, he's like, fine, flap your eagle wings in there. What can I do for you? Now we're going to go to those previous Bible verses that I switched to my presentation. The third one, the third pattern that people get offended when I call them out on this one is the martyr mindset. Martyr mindset, how many martyrs do we have here? There is one, there are two. Think about it. Who is a martyr? Martyr is the one who is super proud of their misery. Right? Like, it hurts for a reason. Yes. Nothing wrong with martyrdom to a certain extent. But there is a moment when martyrdom becomes very, very unhealthy and ties you in and binds you in a place where you can't move because you have to take care of somebody else. This is different than people pleasing. People pleasing is something that you do to make others happy, and to actually, you do things so others would see you in a certain light. Martyrdom is where you put yourself aside for the sake of somebody else. Usually the idea is, my needs don't matter. And again, something that we pick up in our childhood very often, and then we act like that in our adulthood. But bottom line is, it's a glorified burnout lifestyle. That's what it is. And it happens everywhere. It happens in family. It happens in your workspace. How many times did you sacrifice your family time because of work? Why? Well, you know what? They need me over there. I got to do it. Or how many times did you sacrifice your own time for the sake of family? Well, they need me right now, you know? They really need me. So yeah, I'm gonna do this. But the bottom line is, the burnout happens when you do it again and again and again and again, and you realize it never really stops. I know some people who, this is the middle child syndrome. Very often the martyr is the middle child syndrome. Middle child is the one that kind of always helps the older one and then does everything for the younger one because the younger one never does anything. And I mean, you know, whoever is the youngest kid, you know, you were the baby, you are still the baby. You know that. But usually you end up being, all the way through your life, the one that people will turn to for help because they know you can't deny. Just go to him. He's going to do it. There was a period of my ministry where I used to be like that. And I remember the first time I had to say no to one family they wanted to have their son with special needs in the youth group, and they needed somebody to be with him over there because he needed to have like a chaperone, a guardian. But all of the family was too lazy to do that for him, so they wanted me to sign the documents where I'm going to be the responsible party for them. And might be harsh things to say, but I realized that time when I talked to them, they wanted to be here in the church, and then they wanted to do whatever, but nobody wanted to actually sit with him over there while he's in the youth group. So they got really offended when I said I'm not going to do that, and they didn't show up for a couple of months because of that, and I was suffering so much because I failed them. I should have done that. But I knew that I shouldn't. But you know the burden of a martyr. The moment you're not suffering, something is wrong. You don't feel good when you're not suffering. Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. You know that. But the problem with that is you first have to love yourself. Imagine if you really loved your neighbors the way you love yourself. There will be a lot of bloodshed in some streets. You know? Think about it. Mark 1:35, it's so interesting. It says, and Jesus withdrew to rest and pray. Bible says they were so busy that they didn't have time to eat. How much running around they had with all the people over there. And then Jesus picks up his stuff, like, guys, I'll see you later, peace. And he just ditches them and he goes to the mountains. And then he comes back and he tells his disciples, come on, guys, time out. Okay, everybody, let's go, let's take some rest. And they're like, no, we can't do that. He had to argue them not to be martyrs. Because martyrdom is very rewarding. You feel really good with all of this gratitude that you're getting. But you're not getting anywhere yourself in life. I love these verses. Galatians chapter 2 and chapter 2, verses 2 and 5. The first one says, carry one another's burdens. Which means be helpful. You know, be there for other people. Help them out. Everybody needs a hand every once in a while. Be there for them when they ask you. Offer help if you see that they need to. Yes, give your time. Donate. Be a part of their life. Make their lives better. Absolutely. But then verse 5 says, each one should carry their own load. Do you have people in your life who you're taking care for? You don't even know why. Just because everybody got used to the fact that you need to take care of them. You guys remember Allen Iverson? Yeah, basketball player. I remember, like, when I started watching NBA, when we moved to the country, he was playing here in Nuggets. He was, like, really good. There is a Netflix documentary that was recently made based on his life, and it's actually a really depressing story. He, at peak of his career, he was making millions of dollars, pretty much as any of basketball players of his rank. But he was supporting between 30 and 40 families in his neighborhood for years. Because when they were teenagers, like kids that were playing around, they made a deal. Whoever becomes rich, then he's going to take over everybody else. And he took it to heart way too much. To the point where right now he's broke. And in his desire to be the martyr, he lost it all. Martyrdom, the biggest problem with martyrdom, when you are a martyr, you are also something else. You are an enabler. Do you know what an enabler is? Okay, I don't have to explain it. Good. You sound way too familiar with what that is. But okay, it's good and depressing at the same time. The matter of fact is, every one of us here is responsible for ourselves. Yes, every one of us, every once in a while, needs help. And I am tremendously grateful for numerous people over here who were really a help to me in my life. Sometimes really, really, you're in my heart. You know who you are. But then on the other hand, I needed to stand up and do things on my own and by myself and get things figured out, because that's the only way to really live a free life. You can't live a life where somebody constantly depends on you and where you constantly depend on somebody else. You have to stand on your own 2 feet. And you have to allow others to stand on their 2 feet. Let them fall. Let them bruise their knees. How do you teach your kids to walk? Do you always hold them? No, let them walk. Yeah, they're going to cry it off, but then next time, they're going to walk much better. Matthew 11:28 says, "Come to me, and I will give you rest." It's not your job to bring rest to your family, parents, kids, co-workers, whoever you are. It's His job to bring rest to you and to them. You be an example. What does it mean to be rested in the Lord? And if they can't figure it out, well, sucks for them. They're going to have to cry a little bit more and bruise a little bit more their spiritual knees. But you can't help them if you come back and do it for them again and again and again. And the last one that we're going to talk about today, time for us to wrap it up, the pattern of emotional suppression. This is a bad one. I left the worst one for last. It's so much easier to lie, isn't it? It's so much easier to lie if you know that the truth is going to bring pain. It's so much easier to not be fully honest, but rather just push it under the rug. Ever been there? Because here's what we are taught very often, and this is the trauma of a Slavic family. For example, for a guy, men don't cry. Don't you dare crying. And I'm over there, and my elbow is bleeding, and like, you know, the tears are there, but I'm holding it because my dad said, you don't cry. Yeah, he wanted to toughen me up, which wasn't really that bad because we ended up in a war after that for like almost a decade, so being tough wasn't really that bad. Nevertheless, it creates traumas. It creates a lesson where you are told that you cannot and should not express your emotions. Your emotions need to be kept in so everybody and everything is okay and fine and at peace. You can't say what you think because it's going to disturb the other people. You can't do what you want to do because it's going to cause somebody else to be angry or disappointed or whatever it is. You guys read the Psalms, right? Psalms are like a waterfall of emotions being poured out. You see David over there being angry and happy and rejoicing and crying, and he's pouring all of these things, and he's a king. He is supposed to be an example of restraint. And he's over there weeping in the court, or he's dancing around in his shorts with his tambourine, you know, and everybody's looking at him like, woo, this guy is off the limits. But he understood that emotional suppression is drowning him. Emotional suppression is drowning you. James chapter 5, verse 16. This is a hard lesson to learn. Confess your sins to one another. Why? What does it say? That you may be healed. Expressing your emotions, being honest about how you feel, being honest about what you think, being honest about what you desire with the ones that you share life with, is healing. It's bringing you healing when you do that. When you're fully open and full, even if it hurts, even if it brings to a breaking point, even if it comes to a point where like, okay, this is not working out, fine, but at least everything is out on the table. Nothing is suppressed. Nothing is kept away. This is even cooler. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26. It's so awesome. He says, be angry and do not sin. Like it's fine to be angry. Now my dad would love that. Like, he loved being angry. Oh my goodness. He found special kind of place in his life in this verse. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about feel free to express what is on your heart to the ones you share your life with. Whether it's at the workspace, whether it's in your family, whether it's wherever it is. But do not sin. This doesn't mean that you can go around flipping off everybody in traffic because you feel like it. Even though it feels good every once in a while. The point isn't hurting other people with what is on your mind. The point is stop hurting yourself by constantly retaining within yourself something that turns into an emotional volcano at one point, and when it explodes, you completely lose control over it. And then things happen that you really didn't want to happen. So let it out in time. Be honest about it. Let them know. And make sure that they treat you the same. Because honesty always should trump suppression. Always. Psalm 62:8. Pour out your heart before Him. God is a refuge for us. Pour out your heart before God. Absolutely. We do that all the time. But we know He's not going to tell, you know? And we also know that He's not going to get mad about it. But do the same for the people around you. Be truth in their life. Whatever it is, no matter how ugly it is, if people you share your life with love you, they'll take it. They'll deal with it. They'll find a way to deal with it. If they can't take it, then they shouldn't be part of your life. Or they should try to grow to do that. Same applies to you as well. When other people pour out to you, if you love them, you'll take it. And you'll find a way to live with it. There is nothing worse but being a fake for the sake of peace. Let's finish it up. I have a homework for you, as usual. You already got used to that. So, I want you this week to take the time and try to recognize yourself in one of these patterns. I'm pretty sure that you already have through the course of this sermon. Pick one of those. Confess it to God. Start with admitting, okay, this is what I am. This is my homemade chain, Lord. And then replace it with the biblical pattern that we just talked about. And then practice it daily this week. Figure it out. Be creative. Ask God to give you ideas. But make sure you act on it. Because if you don't act on it, you wasted your time sitting here today. You wasted my time being here today. We pay for this place, you know. I really encourage you, don't be lazy. I really encourage you, identify at least one unhealthy pattern in your life, confess it to God, to yourself, then figure out how to practice a biblical pattern properly. And here's the last slide, these 4 empowering patterns that I want you to remember. You can take a snapshot if you want to remember this, or go afterwards to our YouTube channel. You can watch this on YouTube and Facebook and pick it up, but remember these things. You people pleasers, your identity is more important than approval of people. What was courage or fear? I forgot my own sermon. Wait, I have to go back. If you play it safe, choose courage or fear. If you're a martyr, choose stewardship of yourself over neglect. And if you're suppressing your emotions, choose to be honest, no matter the pain. Dear Lord, some of these things are hard to chew on. I know I have to chew on them as well. And right now, I really thank you for this knowledge that you gave us in your word. And I thank you for the opportunity for all of us to break from these familiar patterns. And thank you for knowing that your Spirit is going to help us live a better life if we choose to take action, if we choose to step out, if we choose to wade in the water and allow you to separate the water. So help us this week to be honest with ourselves. Help us to take action with these dysfunctional behaviors that are dragging us down. And help us really change our life and find freedom. Amen.